All right, so we back. Dr. Life in the business of saving lives. We engaging in disaster relief. We're first responders in the business of saving lives, saving our people from unnatural man-made disasters and natural winds of strife that disasters that these unnatural, inhumane, lowest life forms on earth have turned into a profit industry, and they profit off suffering. We call it code violations. Capitalizing on dehumanization economically. So code violations, and we are code enforcers, gatekeepers, first responders, auditing and taking account of every drop of blood and paying back double for every code violator. So, in the previous clip, my man talked about meritorious manumission. God, follow me. 1710, meritorious manumission. It's a law that was put in place in the lands called America, but there is no government. So who was writing laws, y'all? 1710, meritorious manumission says, so they just here. And they tell you a story as if there's an uninhabited land of individuals. If y'all believe that, these lands were so chock full of Nubians, just like Egypt was chock full with Nubians, just like Babylon, just like Jerusalem, just like, and a Nubian is the darkest beings on the earth. Europeans, which are the lightest beings on the earth, the fairest beings on the earth, have always been the minority because it was a punishment for Cain killing Abel. The creation event, remember, we are dealing with a creator. We're not dealing with evolution. You let them lie to you and tell you about Homo sapien and Homo erectus and homosexuality and cause their black magical sex practices have devolved as well from the original creation model. Homo this, homo that, and now you got homosexual beings. That's the only thing that is devolving from the original ITB, original fruitful and multiply. Every seed brings forth fruit after its own kind. We're dealing with a creator. We ain't dealing with no Big Bang. Every day, we prove that the creator created us in its image because we procreate every day and recreate new beings in his image. You have never once been able to verify a Big Bang event. Never once. But every single day, we prove creation happens because we procreate. And then every time we follow the commandment to be fruitful and multiply, and every time we are faithful and one man takes to himself one woman, and leaves and cleaves his mother and father, and cleaves to his wife, and the two become one. That is knowledge, and he calls that husbandry. ITB, Hollywood husbandry. And the Big Bang scientists, they practice the opposite, which is called Baphomet alchemy. I'll get to that in a second. This is a battle. You got G Unit, the gorilla swines, and then you got the Godhead unit, the ITB husbandry, yes, U.S.A. union, the American dream union of one man and one woman to become one, being fruitful and multiplying. That's hip hop. And the reverse is the unnatural union of Baphomet, the androgynous creature, the third person of the Egyptian trinity that all of the pagans worship. Osiris is the father, Isis is the mother, and then Horus, Baphomet, the androgynous. How does he become androgynous? Horus, in Rome, Horus is worshipped by a dude named Attis. Attis is deified in the Roman pantheon, in the Greek and Roman pantheon. Why? Because Attis castrates himself in worship to the deity Ishtar. Yeah, you heard me. Attis is the priest of Ishtar, and to offer himself as a priest to be an oracle, he castrates himself. He volunteers to castrate himself. This is where they get the worship of Baphomet from. And then Attis, because of his sacrifice, was deified. These ain't orientations. These is Greco-Roman pagan idol worship traditions, satanic, demonic, pagan traditions. And whenever they would capture other nations, they would bring the males into their nation, and then they would castrate them and have them work as temple prostitutes in the temples and shrines of their gods. And every time God's children, instead of following his example that he told them, be fruitful and multiply, get you one wife, not two, not three. I ain't justify Abraham getting multiple wives. He did that because his wife was pagan. He listened to his pagan wife. He ain't listen to me. I didn't condone that. But just like I didn't force Satan to stay in the kingdom, I didn't force Abraham to be faithful to his wife. But just because Abraham violated my commandments, you let these clowns run around here and tell you that, yo, Abraham was a holy man and he did it, so it's okay. God ain't condone that. God ain't condone David killing Uriah and taking Bathsheba for his wife, but he still said David was a man after his own heart, but God never condoned the murder, and David had to pay. David had to pay. And his son, through pain, you're going to pay. Every time you violate, you're going to pay the price. So his son Absalom took 10 of his wives up to the rooftop and slept with all 10 of his wives in the sight of all of the people. Abraham had to pay because now he had a son who rejected his covenant. God ain't tell him to take another wife because his wife didn't have the faith to believe in the word that God said you gonna have a son, and she told her husband, yo, take my handmaiden. That's they doing. You can't justify polygamy. You can't justify having multiple wives. That ain't God given. God gave Adam one wife. That's the model. Anybody else doing anything else is not the blueprint. It ain't holy. It's satanic. And every time he gets you to take one step, two steps into Satanism, he gonna have you take 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 more. Because then he moved from polygamy to incest. Then cats always go to, well, blah, blah, blah. Yo, the moment that there was 2 separate seeds on the earth, when a creator is creating, the creator has the ability to create 2 separate species anyway. So if the creator created Adam and the creator created Eve, and then they have a daughter, the creator, in his acknowledgement that it was good and perfect, his creation was good and perfect, he told Eve, I will put enmity between your seed and the serpent. I have the ability to separate different species. Don't matter if it come out of the same womb. That's why I created X and Y chromosomes. I'm in the enmity species separating business. That's why I created type A blood, type B blood, type O blood, because I am in the enmity separating business. But the minute that there was the serpent seed, which was Cain, and Adam and Eve's seed, look at the word of God. Cain's children had to come and get a seed from Adam and Eve's children, because God had put enmity and he had separated. And as far as the east is from the west, were their genes and their makeup between Cain's children and Adam and Eve's children. That's why God said, I will put enmity between your seed and the serpent's seed. The genetic makeup was totally separated. And the creator has the ability to do that. That's why when Cain's son Lamech violated and stopped going, first he murdered 2 of his brothers. Then he took their wives. Then that's when the inbreeding started. It's the first time a daughter was born to Lamech, and then no longer do you see in the word of God that Cain's seed went to Adam to get a bride. And then they started violating. This is Genesis 3, Genesis 4. And then they started violating so hard with the incest and the mom sleeping with sons and the sons sleeping with sisters and fathers sleeping with daughters. And it was so crazy. And they started marrying and intermarrying. And Genesis 6 says, God said, and yo, the people are so wicked. The people are so wicked. I'm going to destroy this whole world. And what did he say? He said they are they are marrying and giving in marriages. That wasn't the first. This is 1,500 years into the legacy. This was a new type of marriage. These were unnatural marriages, unnatural unions. Unsanctioned, unapproved, cursed unions. and the arranged marriages that Hollywood does today. They put these people, when they signed the document, they put these marriages together. They put them together, just like they do in the Middle East, to sell them magazines and to further erode and destroy the image of the family. Why? Because in a couple months, the husband gonna be sleeping with dudes. The wife gonna be sleeping with a woman, sleeping with another dude. And all it does is drive the image home that the marriage unit is common to be unfaithful. It's common to break the covenant of marriage. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. It's a joke. Will Smith, Jada Smith. It's a joke. It's an occult charade. All of the dudes is sleeping with dudes. All of the women is sleeping with women. And then they go out into the public eye and they destroy, for the image, the covenant of marriage. And it started with this law in 1710, meritorious manumission. Make them see themselves through the eyes of Europeans. Why? Because the European pantheon is the worship of so-called European deities that rape people, that men sleep with men, women sleep with women, mothers sleep with sons, fathers sleep with daughters. They see somebody, they go rape. Zeus went and raped Europa. Apollo has 8 different lovers, 9 different lovers, 3 women, 6 men. Like, this is their belief system. This is the European pantheon of deities that they worship. So, of course, when they write into law that you need to get them to see themselves through our eyes, so they saying, y'all need to make them turn on that original marriage unit and see that living the lifestyle that Apollo lived, they need to embrace that. They need to live the lifestyle that Baphomet lived. They need to live the lifestyle that Isis lived. They need to live the lifestyle that Osiris lived. Osiris slept with men. Osiris never had a child with his wife. Why? Because Osiris was sleeping with men. And all through Babylonian history, you can't never find a time where in Osiris's temple, you didn't have male temple prostitutes sleeping with other men, because that was the required offering in the temple of Osiris. What? Sun God. Worship is simply the command from the fallen enemy of God for you and everybody to defile the temple, which is your body, of God, so that he cannot deposit your inheritance in it, your Holy Ghost. And the Holy Ghost is what attracts prosperity to the storehouse and the temple that the deposit is in. When you can receive the deposit, you automatically attract the first fruits, blessings that come along with that deposit. But when you become pagan and become defiled, all bets is off. The Holy Ghost won't come nowhere near you. That's all this game is about.
Blackface has been part of the American culture for almost 200 years. The practice, developed by minstrel performers in the 1820s, involves darkening the face with burnt cork, shoe polish, or black paint in order to impersonate a black person.
So why would these Europeans in 1820 need to impersonate the Nubians Remember, the law 110 years earlier said, yo, we need to get them to see themselves through our eyes. They already got a group with them called the Blackamoors. So the image that they trying to get the natives to embrace is how the Blackamoors act in servitude to the Europeans. The Blackamoors act like this. And this is who niggas are. They use the sellout Sambos called the Blackamoors of Greece and the Blackamoors of Persia, the sons of Ishmael, who rejected the covenant of the Most High God and would rather be pagans. And under Emperor Constantine of Great Britain, from the 300 AD on up until this time, you had the moment that they entered into that contractual soul-selling relationship with Constantine, the German fascist Caesar that lived in Great Britain. He used them as tools to enslave the Nubians, who would never enter into a contract and covenant with him. And so it was all-out war. The Greeks and the Romans, the Black Greeks, the German Romans, and the Pan-African or Herodian, when the Hebrews, also Nubian descendants, when the Hebrews did the same thing and went into the paganism, they called their paganism Babylonian Talmud Herodians. Herod, the king of the Jews, Babylonian Talmud Herodians. You got four corners: Germans, the Greeks, the Persian Blackamoors, and the Hebrew Herodians. All four pagans at war with the everlasting gospel. And these four pagans, when they could not destroy the gospel by force, when they could not destroy the image and the example, and here still in the United States of America, they're still trying to figure out in 1820, how can we get these Nubians who won't walk like we walk, who won't talk like we talk, who won't worship Satan like we worship him? How can we get them to see themselves in our eyes like the Black Greeks do? Like the Pan-African Hebrew Herodians who worship the Babylonian Talmudic gods, false satanic gods of Babylon. How can we get them to see themselves like all of these other brothers do? What's their problem? We done consolidated all our pantheon down to just one God. And we even named our God, our false Antichrist God, Jesus. Horus is the Antichrist Jesus. So when they say, yeah, I believe in God, I pray to God, in God we trust, y'all never question him and ask him, what God, homie? State his name. When Beyonce tell you to say my name, say my name. When Destiny's Child say my name, say my name. Y'all say their name. But these clowns, they stand up all day, every day. They take awards. Yeah, I believe in God. I like to thank God. What God? They call Satan a God all day, every day. They call Satan Christ all day, every day. They call Satan Jesus Christ all day, every day. Horus is the Jesus Christ of the Egyptian Trinity. Zoroaster is the Jesus Christ of The Persians. Every single pagan religion got a Jesus Christ. That's why Rome was able to create Christianity when they couldn't defeat the everlasting gospel, which is the way. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man come to the Father. The low lives. I am the low life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Low lives. And still they don't have no answer. So what they said was, they still ain't joining us. They still too strong for us. They still got the birthright. So what we going to do is, we are going to use these blackamoors, our slaves, and we're going to have them get up and play the role of Sambo. We're going to have them get up, come to the plantations. And when we enslave, when we bring slaves over from Africa, we ain't going to let them run away, because we're going to have our Sambos embedded in the slave quarters with the slaves, who going to tell on them. Y'all think they just had them Sambos in as house niggas? You crazy? Every corner of the plantation, they had Sambos. There is no white supremacy without the sellout Hebrew, Babylonian Talmud worshiping pagans, without the black Greeks, also known as the Gothics, the Goths, the Druids, the Germans or the Celts. The black Greeks were the Druids. The black Greeks were the priests who built Stonehenge. Them Druid priests. The Celts were the Levites. You always had priests and Levites. Satan bit off of the model that God revealed to Moses. And they had Druids and Celts. The black Greeks were the Druids. That's how you got them stone structures there in Europe, identical to the stone heads that's in Mexico. The big, huge, gigantic stone heads that's in Mexico as well. Europeans ain't put them up. Europeans didn't develop nothing. Just like God marked Cain and said, you're going to be a vagabond, a restless wanderer. And when Nubians began joining him, Cain was able to tap into their power. As they devolved, they still retained some of the wisdom because they had been exposed to the Creator longer than Cain had been. That's all. So they was able to elevate their paganism to the levels that Egypt elevated their paganism to the levels that Nimrod elevated his paganism to the levels that Nebuchadnezzar elevated, to the levels that Pharaoh elevated their paganism to. But every time they elevated paganism, God sent his righteous sons and daughters of God. Ain't had nothing to do with the Hebrew lineage. Had everything to do with the everlasting covenant from the beginning. He sent a faithful one who was loyal to his covenant to go in and show them, listen, man, I still got dominion with my remnant. And that's who we are.
In a very exaggerated way. While blackface was most commonly featured in the 1800s as part of minstrel shows, it is still seen across the country today, especially on college campuses. Mixed reactions to the use of blackface have turned it into a nationwide controversy.
That's who these dudes are.
Though the exact origins of blackfacing are unknown, documentation of its use and performances dates back to the late 1820s in New York City. Actor Thomas Rice premiered the technique in 1828 when he covered his face in a layer of cork, danced, and spoke in a plantation dialect in a rendition of an African American routine he called Jump Jim Crow. His performance was unprecedented in the world of musical theater and met immediate success. The New York Tribune later reported, "Nothing was talked about, nothing wrote about, nothing dreamed about but Jim Crow."
Nothing talked about, nothing wrote about. This is the first pop culture entertainment medium that they spread throughout the globe, and they use this medium to brand over in Africa. This is what we doing to them slaves that we taking from the west coast of Africa to America. This how we treat them. This how they looking like. So the Africans is like, yo, we don't want no part of that. And then in America, they using these same images to make y'all who identify with this trash insecure and hate yourself. Hate, buy into the lie that you subhuman. You 3/5 of a human being. You only 3/5 of a human being because you bought into the lie that they telling you. And the problem with the cats from West Africa that they was bringing over, the reason that they was able to be enslaved and brought over was because they was into they had bought the trash of the blackamoors, the pagan trash, and because when they was worshiping the pagan deities, and now they try and tell you, yo, we've been separated from our ancestral roots. Our ancestral roots wasn't never in paganism, never. The Nubian was never a pagan. That came from following the ways of Cain, and Cain is the father of the Gentile nation, father of Rome and Greece. If you go back to ITB, ITB is a Nubian covenant of righteousness with the Creator. And out of that came Enoch. 10 generations from Adam to Noah is 10 generations of righteousness, not wickedness. 10. 2,000 years. This is before Sumerian culture. The world tries to tell y'all that the culture that they sell y'all, the pagan culture that they sell y'all, began with the Sumerian culture. That's Semiramis. That's the wife of Nimrod. Nimrod didn't even live right after the flood. Nimrod is just before Abraham. If you go down the lineage in Genesis chapter 10, I'm telling you, this is just the scoreboard. And if you study your film like you're supposed to, when you playing in a football game, when you a professional football player, and you know the coach gonna hand you the rock, you're gonna study the defense. You're gonna study your playbook backwards and forwards, so when he called a play, you know what hole to hit. You running downhill only, and you getting into the end zone. This is all this is for. This is a playbook. That's all this is. This is the play. And all he does is call the same plays that have scored touchdowns on the enemy every time. Say no holy. All this is a documented record of the plays that have allowed us to win the championship in every generation. There's nothing holy about it. It's nothing. It's more stories of the wicked individuals that we've been crushing. It's more wickedness in here than righteous. Because he don't want the wicked to have no excuse. So he has thoroughly documented the wickedness and how he has redeemed the wicked lost. So half of this is two-thirds of this is wickedness. One-third of this is the interaction of righteousness and how the promise of dominion to the righteous is from cover to cover in here. An unbroken chain of dominion for the righteous in every generation. And this is the score. The wins and the losses of the dominion of the righteous, crushing the wicked lost. But 2/3, 70% of that is all wickedness. That's why it ain't a holy book. It's simply a playbook. It's simply a business plan. If you want to fail, do what the lost do. If you want to be cursed, do what the lost do. And I got more examples of how they violated and walked away from me and how I judged them. So you don't have no excuse. So when I come to give you your just reward, don't be hemming and hawing. You just chose to be lost. So if you do the crime, do the time. Man up, woman up. Y'all want to be pagans, be pagans. But stop running around here fronting, trying to seduce and recruit our children like y'all angels of light, like y'all, listen, like y'all some civil rights group that been oppressed. These European pagans been pillaging and raping and stealing and robbing and killing since Cain. Since Cain. And been killing your own people. It ain't nobody that's been enslaved more than Europeans. There's nobody on the face of the planet. They talk about Aryan nation. It's nobody that has been enslaved more. Why? Because your father was wicked. Cain was wicked. So from the time his daughters was coming out, they being raped. They being sold. They being sacrificed. It's the righteous lineage that is training up children in the way that they should go for 2,000 years, 3,000 years, 5,000 years. The wicked lineage, they're doing everything that the wicked people are doing today. Sacrificing, killing, raping, stealing, sexual assault, battery, thievery, lying, deception. There's nobody who's been enslaved more. And because God wanted to redeem his lost children, I have not come to call the righteous, but the wicked. First to the Hebrew, I'm going to rescue them in this man-made disaster that they keep running back to, Lot's wife. I'm trying to lead you to a kingdom of safety, and you want the paganism of somebody sodomizing you. Your heart's desire is to be back there being sexually assaulted and abused and sodomized. Y'all got to be kidding me. Y'all go into a church every week that ain't nothing but a pagan satanic brothel. All of these churches is pagan satanic brothels filled with these demonic hellions. Saying Jesus Christ, worshiping the same Ishtar and Osiris and Horus. Call it Christianity all you want. And he told you he was going to call it Christianity. And he told you how he was going to respond. Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. I never knew you. Many shall come in my name. Many shall call the name Jesus Christ and be worshiping Horus all day. Worshiping Baphomet all day. Many will do it, Babylonian Talmud, Kabbalah, Scientology, Christianity. So what's the true worship of God? He told you, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. I am God. I change not. It's an everlasting gospel. Same word he gave Adam and Eve. Same word he gave Noah. Same word he gave Job. Same word. He has never changed his word. He has never changed his laws. His children changed his laws based off the desires of their heart. That an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. They desired the same Babylonian Hammurabi codes that they were enslaved under in Egypt. So when they came to the mountain of God, when he gave Moses the ceremonial laws that he said would be nailed to the cross, because their hearts desired that trash, he said, okay, if y'all want to be judged by the standards of the world, fine, keep their laws. Just only worship me. Don't worship none of their other gods. But if you want to worship me and be held to account by the laws that you learned in Egypt, okay, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. He didn't have that with Abraham. Abraham wasn't no eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Isaac didn't have that. Jacob didn't have that. Where they get it from? They were slaves, and when they came out of slavery, their hearts wanted everything that they had in Egypt. And so for temporarily, for a period, until Joshua died, they was like, okay, well, we still with Moses. Okay, we'll follow God while Moses is here. And we'll still follow God while Joshua's here. And the minute Joshua died, they said, give us a king like all the other nations. God had already given them the laws of the other nations, hoping that they would then acknowledge that he had redeemed them and saved them and become faithful to him. But still they was whores, spiritual whores. And the moment Joshua died, they said, we already got the laws. We already got the eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, and we can't keep none of them. But give us the pagan Osiris back. Give us the pagan Horus back. We want Horus. Samuel was hot. God said, don't get mad. They didn't reject you. They rejected me. Give them what they want. Just let them know. The king's going to lead them into, and he gave them Saul, the demonic, satanic Saul. And he gave Saul his spirit first. But because the hearts of the people was for paganism, Saul's heart also was for paganism. So the moment his actions met up with his heart, God removed his spirit from Saul, and that's exactly how he deals with every human being to this very day. Your actions determine whether you get the deposit and the everlasting covenant, or if you get inhabited by the satanic spirits and demons that landed Saul worshiping the way that they Babylonian Talmud, the way that Hollywood worships, the way that Donald Trump worships, the way that all of these 700 clubs, all of these Kenneth Copeland and T.D. Jakes, they worship this way to this day. The Oprah Winfreys, they worship to this day. They go in there to mediums and spirit guides. The witch at Endor is where Saul ended his life at. In a seance with a demonic satanic witch. Because that's where his heart was. That's where his people's heart was. And ever since they came out of Egypt, their heart was there. Unfaithful spiritual whores. And y'all wonder why y'all get the same treatment. Why Europeans are in your life at all. Why Europeans aren't off in a cave somewhere worshiping the pagan deities that they want. When God's children get right with him, Satan's seed cannot come nowhere near, because the deposit of the Holy Ghost goes out and meets and destroys the enemy for walking on holy ground, even coming in the presence on the estate of the righteous. Y'all done bought these lies. And we trying to set y'all free. And we start with a generation of young people that we've trained up to go to war on these images. They portray these negative images, and we've been recreating the perfect images for 20 something years. And now we going to young people who ain't been training with these young people, and we telling them you are identical to these young people that we've been training all their lives. You will produce the same exact fruit. All you got to do is be exposed to the same power. We speaking the HAV bars into their life, and we giving them access to the power, and we setting up a perimeter of safety, and we preventing the wolves from coming in and interfering and interacting, and we giving you the opportunity to do a work study program of transformational empowerment and change. Break the cycle. Come get it. 407-308-0997. It's the call for all of the rich young rulers. The rich young ruler, when the King of Kings came to him and told him to give up everything you got, he in the same situation that you in right now. See, the rich young ruler ain't realized that the King of Kings, the Messiah, had already prophesied, yo, after I die, yo, the armies are going to surround this city. Your house is left unto you desolate. The only way of escape that you have is right now taking this life preserver I'm throwing out to you, because y'all so wicked. Y'all think y'all serving. Y'all think y'all serving God. Y'all some Babylonian Talmud worshiping, satanic worshiping, and all of the bread you got is blood money, homie. Give it all up, because the Romans going to take it when they come and shut down the city anyway, and they did. And he did not take the life preserver. You in the same situation right now. This whole economy is about to crash. The dollar is going to be worthless. They done already moved all of their money. The Europeans is moving their money into gold and into silver and into all of these other mediums that we'll put you up on. Because we putting our money in the same places too. We protecting our investments too. And we gonna show 1,600 individuals between now and April how to stack 100 grand. Not in dollars. Stack 100 grand. And over the next 5 years, through economic crashes, when they say no man can buy or sell, we gonna be the only people who playing this game for keeps, who gonna show people how to increase. Your first fruit blessing is a blessing of increase, yo. So while the whole rest of the world goes through weeping and gnashing of teeth, the ITV money that grows on trees just keeps increasing and increasing. Then we're going to show you how to, in the time of blight for Babylon, we're going to show you how to stack 500 grand. That's just what you save. That's not what you spend. That's not expenses. We just talk about what you save. Why? Baymax saves. Be about your own money. Be about your money at all costs. Saves. This is a saving program. Saving lives, saving money. It's a saving program. Baymax saves. So, you saw the number. 407-308-0997. Get at us. Rich young rulers. Time to transform. Peace.